Welcome to the Fleet Geeks Podcast. We're here to help develop fleet and transport professionals. Do you want to progress and develop your skills and knowledge? We promise to bring lively conversation and debate around interesting issues and keep you bang up to date with changes in our awesome industry. The Fleet Geeks are a community of professionals, and if you enjoyed the podcast, why not join the discussion for free in the Fleet Geek community over on Facebook?
All I can see in this, right, so basically for those listening, we have this Fleet Geeks WhatsApp chat between Mike, Jamie and myself, and all I can see at the moment is the fact that I referred to a woman as a bird in the last Fuel podcast with a monkey face going, oh my god, what was I doing? That's going to haunt me forever. Anyway, so today's conversation, we're going to be talking about a driver discloses information during a driver CPC course. What's the right thing to do for the trainer? Quite an interesting one. So for those of you that are listening that are trainers, hopefully this will be useful for you. Or if you're thinking about training, sometimes drivers blurt things out during courses that possibly they shouldn't share with you. And therefore, particularly if you're a transport manager, you're kind of obliged to do something about it. What do you reckon, chaps?
Yeah, it's a very tricky one, isn't it? We don't want to sound sort of trainer central this time, but this is a trainer issue that we have tackled over the years, and occasionally somebody's going to say something in a transport in a driver CPC session, and the trainer is going to try to put them right, because as trainers we have this load of information in our heads and we're just desperate to get all that information out there. I think some trainers fall foul of that and then end up lecturing people on what they should and shouldn't be doing. So if a driver discloses, for example, that they may have whatever, it could be any number of things, there's always the temptation for the trainer to try to correct them. Is that the right thing for a trainer to be doing?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it?
It's tricky. I was going to say, I think I'll sort of wade in there with... the kettle's going. Sorry, the kettle's going.
This is live, folks. It's live. It's recorded, but yeah, we get cars going past. We get kettles coming on, or it's an urn actually that sits in the side of the room.
It's an urn.
And ironically, none of us have got a tea either.
No, we're not drinking tea. We promise. Yeah.
Literally, Mike's just finished doing a day's transport manager CPC training today. What have you been doing today, mate?
Transport manager.
What subject?
Finance day.
Finance day.
So they've all gone home. They've all gone home tonight. They've all gone home with long faces tonight, and it is one of the worst days. We're over the bridge now, though. We're over the hump. We're coming down the other side now. So we'll start talking about trucks again tomorrow. I think it's sometimes we have to talk about trucks in this game, but yeah, finance day out the way. That's thankfully
Brilliant.
for that.
Brilliant. So they're off thinking about their life choices at the moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, so back to what we were discussing, which was trainers and disclosure or sharing TMI, too much information during a CPC course. So interestingly, we had I think a live example for us, and I know that we've maybe seen. I think there was a conversation in the Facebook feed actually that relates to this, which makes me think about it. But actually, certainly from a flagship point of view, we had a query raised by one of our customers around the correct process with driver daily checks and drivers carrying out bulb replacements. So there was a little bit of a challenge around us saying that best practice was that drivers would have some level of training to be able to be signed off as competent to be able to carry out minor vehicle repairs, which is correct and sort of best practice, but it wasn't quite how the operator did it. So I think there's sort of a broader thing here around making sure that trainers are mindful of different companies and their processes, and sometimes you can tread on people's toes. I know certainly when I deliver mental health training I have to be a bit careful because I make all these amazing suggestions, or I think they're amazing anyway, maybe it's just me. But I make what I perceive to be amazing suggestions, but ultimately if I haven't got the HR person or the health and safety person in the room, they may feel a little bit alienated because I've made a load of suggestions about things that could happen, and they've not really had the input, and it's maybe their baby. But yeah, I think when it comes to drivers disclosing stuff, I think we've got a duty of care as a transport manager, as a trainer.
Definitely.
I think we've got a duty of care to the operator and to overall road safety I suggest that we escalate that challenge.
I don't think it's for discussion actually in the course, is it, in front of everybody else, but I think it's definitely some way you go and escalate it to the management of particular business.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because if you get asked a direct question by a driver, so I'm trying to think of a great example here, but say you get asked something directly by a driver, which maybe catches the operator doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or something like that. I often get asked a question. I'll tell you what, a great example, right? I often get asked, if it's a 15-hour day, if I've done a 15-hour day, am I able to get picked up?
Yeah,
That happens
classic.
all the time.
Classic, yeah. Can somebody send the van out to pick me up? Yeah.
Yeah. What's your stock response to that? That's an interesting one, actually. Yeah. What is your stock response to that?
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're really proud to sponsor the Fleet Geeks podcast. Flagship Partners offer a range of consultancy and training services to ensure that our customers remain compliant and have the best possible knowledge to be able to fulfill their work. If you're interested in support with any of our safety, HR or compliance services, or you want to train to be a transport manager or need driver CPC training, give us a call today.
If they're out of duty, if they've got to start their daily rest, if they're due to start their daily rest, then you can't go and pick them up. They've got to, whatever. They've got to have a night out. You've got to find them a hotel that's within sort of striking distance. It's a bit difficult, but if they've got driving time left, if they've got working time left still, absolutely. If they're within that 15-hour window still, not a problem. But if they need to start their daily rest, they've got to start their daily rest and be able to do that there and then. But
unfortunately, that's the pitfalls of lorry driving. Unfortunately, you don't know what's going to happen during that day.
Always take your pyjamas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I've had many a driver ring me up and moan about that fact. Stuck with them.
I don't want to have a night out. I haven't got my favourite teddy, So yeah, it's unfortunately that's the way it is, isn't it? It is. But that's a good example and I think quite often in driver CPC training, drivers are looking for validation. There's something they do or something that the company does or doesn't do, and they're looking for the trainer boat to sort of, and then the first thing Monday morning they go about, the bloke from the training, he said you can't do this or you can't do that. So I'm always very careful. Learning from experience, I'm always really careful with that one.
I think, sometimes people try and get you to say the answer they want. They prep it, they try and manipulate to get the answer they want, and they can go back on that, like you say, on the Monday morning to say this is what the trainer said.
Sadly, I mean, on the other side of that coin, there are some people in our profession that that sort of get a thing out of showing drivers up. If drivers will speak up and they shoot them down in flames, I know more than you because I'm a trainer, and that I think we'll never get that here at Flagship, of course, but it does happen. I think we've all got stories where that has happened before, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the age-old classic. Old trainer, can you please confirm that I'm correct so that I can leverage your response against my seniors?
And you can see why perhaps sometimes drivers do it, don't they? They haven't got the answer they wanted when they've gone to their manager, so they're trying to find another route to get that answer they want, and
Yeah, I mean, I learned talking to drivers years ago in a real setting, not as opposed to a training setting, that if they ask you a question and put you on the spot, never answer it on the hoof. Just always buy yourself a little bit of time. By the time they've had another cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, they've forgotten about it anyway. But it's important not to answer things that can be twisted in some way.
Definitely.
We ought to go on media training, haven't we, for this job as well? How not to be manipulated by a delegate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think I think the challenges that we sort of go back to is it's important not to undermine the transport manager. If you're going to do an in-house training course, you've got to ensure that you understand what the policies and procedures are there to ensure that you don't undermine the work that's going on. I think that's
a message for transport managers. And then this came up, in fact, actually this came up as a part of a different chat that we was having online with some people about whether we've had this discussion before on Fleet Geeks, whether being a driver or not is a good idea before you become a transport manager. And I think the best driver CPC training that I've ever delivered normally entails where there's a supervisor or a manager or a team leader or an ops director or somebody like that on the course. It's a much better course. You get so much more out of it because you're able to refer back to the person sat in the room, and if you form a bit of an alliance with them as a trainer, you can get a lot of messages across to the driver. So message to transport managers out there, even if you don't need a CPC the DQC if you don't need the hours. Get on the course, and the guys will respect you a whole lot more as well for doing so.
It's a great way for them to understand with the drivers' issues as well, isn't it? Rather than in that, it can be a moany environment sometimes, can't it? When drivers are coming in, this problem, rather than sitting down in that CPC, it's a good place to do that.
I think that's a great shout that transport managers want to be proactive and at least ensure that they spend some time with the CPC trainer to help get some understanding of maybe what the challenges are and what needs dealing with.
Absolutely. I know we will always speak to the person who's organised the, is there anything you need us to cover? Is there anything, where are we looking at? Have we got any particular issues? Do you want me to go down this route or that route? And I think that it's delivered as a part of a whole. It's a much smoother package to deliver to somebody, isn't it? When you're working as a team rather than trying to work against each other. But you're right, Pete. That never ever try to show up the transport manager, or nobody should really be in this game to try to show anybody up. We're there to give advice. We're there to give support and push people in the right direction, not to dictate stuff. I think that's my
I totally agree, and I think when it comes to a driver disclosure, I think there's a skill in acknowledging that something has been said. Without raising too much attention to it from the cohort, and then being able to have a quiet conversation, maybe post-course, have a debrief with maybe the person who booked the course, booked the training, and maybe raise a concern then, because often context is everything, and often things are taken out of context during a drive.
That's a really good point. That is.
I always offer, when we've been in contact with the transport manager or the organiser of the course, I always offer my phone number or email address and say, post-course, and it's very, very few transport managers actually ring me or text or whatever and say, how did the course go? How did the training go? And those that do, I know that they're switched on and they're engaged. So again, another top tip for a transport manager, speak to the trainer, see how it went. If you can't be in on it, well, I'd prefer you in on it, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. I think we're about there, aren't we?
Yeah, it's good. Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, chaps. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and catch you all soon.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share with your friends and colleagues too. Join us for free on Facebook with the Fleet Geeks community for transport and fleet managers. Fleet Geeks offers ongoing professional development, networking and mentoring too. So get in touch with me, Pete Rushmer, on any social media platform to find out more.